Greetings, this is Charlie Wharton and welcome to our Creating Contentment podcast. Our goal with this effort is to try to get a head start on making the most of our opportunities. We hope to help you get your week started off on the right foot. We hope to lay some groundwork for developing the contentment that can lead to an abundant life. It seems like that when I was growing up, June was the wedding month. I think that in years past there was a rationale for couples getting married in the early summer. School was out, the weather was nice, and maybe even the field work might have been a little bit more manageable during that time of year. But no matter why, a lot of people I know have been married in June. I don't really know whether June is still a good month for weddings, but one thing I do know is that our relationships have a very noticeable impact on our contentment. When our relationships are going well, especially our marriage relationships, typically most of the rest of our lives will follow suit. Conversely, when our relationships aren't going very well, it's a lot less fun. Before I was in a serious relationship, I may have thought that all I needed to do was to find the right person and we would live happily ever after. The longer I've been married, the more I have realized that good relationships require a lot of work. Now, I'm not saying that the work is difficult or it's even hard. However, a good lasting relationship is not going to make itself. So what does it take to have a contented, committed relationship? Well, let's take a look at a few ways that we can make long-term relationships work. The first thing we need is love. If we were to poll most people, they would probably put this at or near the top of their list. However, sometimes I wonder if we're talking about the same kind of love. Often when we talk about love in a relationship, we are talking about romantic love, and that's what we envision for a happy marriage. Now, before we discount this emotion, we need to acknowledge that we need to keep the flame alive. Candlelight, flowers, and romantic dates are important even after the wedding. Yet there's another kind of love that is important. Many modern weddings include a passage from 1 Corinthians chapter 13 in the ceremony. Verses 4 through 7 remind us, love is patient, love is kind, and is not jealous. Love does not brag and is not arrogant, does not act unbecomingly, it does not seek its own, is not provoked, does not take into account a wrong suffered, does not rejoice in unrighteousness, but rejoices with the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. In essence, love is a decision that we make to treat the other person well. Gifts like flowers are nice, but concepts like forgiveness are probably more important. If we're going to make a long-term relationship work, we need to marry a friend and treat them with respect. A second thing we need is communication. This begins with a commitment to keeping each other informed about what's going on in our lives. Whether it's calendars, concerns, dreams, or even dreads, we need to do what we can to let our spouse know what's going on with us. It isn't just about exchanging information. It also allows us to stay engaged with each other's lives. Now, while talking is important, learning to listen is just as important. To do this, we need to be engaged in the communication process. And this means a couple of things. First, we must be willing to be open to hearing what the other person says. Yet we can do even more listening with our hearts, our minds, and with our ears. You see, when we listen with our hearts, we kick in emotions. And when we listen with our minds, our intellect goes to work. Now, one quick thing about this. Communication doesn't always have to be spoken words. Often notes, letters, or unexpected encouraging texts or emails can convey heartfelt emotions. When we learn how our spouse gathers information and processes it, we can enhance our communication. Another attribute to a long-lasting relationship is commitment. It has become easy to disband a relationship. Society is much more tolerant of prematurely ending relationships for whatever reasons. Legally, many of the statutory standards for granting divorces have been relaxed. So it just makes it more important for couples to take it upon themselves to make things work for the long term. It's up to us to make it happen. Interestingly, this has been God's plan from the beginning. When Jesus was approached about divorce in Matthew chapter 19, verses 4 through 9, we are told, "And he answered and said, Have you not read that he who created them from the beginning made them male and female, and said, For this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let no man separate." There are a lot of reasons people use to get out of marriages, but there is basically one important reason that keeps us together: because we want to make it work. Marriage is not always easy. Couples are not always on their best behavior. But when both of them are willing to work through the tough times and enjoy the good times, they set up a foundation for a long and happy relationship. One final comment to committing to a solid relationship is to put first things first. In marriages, our spouses take priority over all other relationships. Friendships are nice. Families can be fun. Work provides financial security, and children are important. But the single most crucial relationship two spouses have is to each other. Remember, Jesus said, "Leave and cleave." When we put our spouse first, many of the potential marital problems will be overcome or might not even surface in the first place. I wish I could say that marriages and long-term relationships are a piece of cake. Sometimes it's fun, other times, well, not so much. Yet when we learn to do it well and we commit to doing it right, it can be a great life. We wish you the best as you and that special someone navigate your week, and we hope that you'll join us next week for another chance to discuss ways we can create contentment.